What's up, everybody? We've got a great show for you today on Start, Buy, and Scale. If you don't know me, my name is Kevin Bell. I am a full-time police officer. I'm a husband, dad of 3, and I start, buy, and scale businesses, everything from self-storage to lawn care in order to change the financial trajectory for my family. And I'm hosting this show with my business partner, John Reinich, who also starts, buys, and scales businesses, and he's a marketing genius, so it's super cool to have him on this. We don't need you to like or subscribe or anything like that. Honestly, we just want you to follow along with us on this journey, because everything that we learn how to do, we then teach you how to do. We just want to provide you with as much value as possible so that you can be the best version of yourself and do all this cool stuff as well. The best way to follow along with us, though, is on a newsletter that we have called Sunday Donuts, and I will drop the link below for you. So today's episode, my buddy Collin, this is actually like a cross-promotion episode because I was a guest on his show on Business Blitz. He's got an awesome show, super cool. We talked about a lot of things, about our entrepreneurial journeys, about him starting his business, about all the different ventures that I've had, how I've started and progressed, and just all these things that I'm doing. So it's a great episode. Quick episode. He interviewed me in Business Blitz, obviously just about 10, 15 minutes of us jamming out. So I wanted to put it on our show so that you could see it as well. And he was kind enough to share that info. If you don't know Collin, Collin is legit. He started a business called Greenbox Storage when he was in college. So he was a college student at Dartmouth and started this business, and this is outdated. It's actually 1.7 million revenue since he started. And now he helps other founders build their brands because he's so good at doing it himself. So if you want to follow along with Collin, check him out on Twitter or X, and his YouTube, Business Blitz. And I will be uploading this intro as well as the full episode to our podcast on Spotify called Start, Buy, and Scale. Enjoy the show.
All right, guys, welcome to the Business Blitz podcast. We're here with Kevin Bell today. Kevin, give us a quick background on yourself.
Yeah, dude. So I am a full-time police officer. I'm a husband and a father of 3. We just had our third, and he's chilling right here next to me right now. I start businesses, buy businesses, scale businesses, and it's anything from self-storage to lawn care. And I'm documenting the journey as I go, man. I feel like I have entrepreneurship that just runs through my veins, and I'm doing everything I possibly can to change the financial trajectory for my family.
Matt, that is awesome. I love how you said entrepreneurship running through your veins. I feel the same exact way. It's nice to connect with other people that feel that same way, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners today feel the same way. Talk me through your entrance into entrepreneurship. What did that look like?
Yeah, I started, I would say, like, my first entrepreneur project wasn't as early as some, right? You know, some you talk and they're like, okay, well, I was selling candy in elementary school, and then that turned into whatever, you know, like I didn't have like that early start. The desire to be successful was always there, but I sought security, right? So I went into law enforcement because that's like, it's a good solid career. You have a good salary and you have good benefits. But in college is really when I started dabbling in entrepreneurship. And funny enough, I bought and sold foam rollers because I've been in the fitness industry for a long time. I was for a long time, ran gyms. I did a lot of like high ticket coaching and like one-on-one for a long time. But like during that time period, I bought and sold foam rollers. And so that was like kind of like my entry into having a product and selling that product. And then that didn't really work out, obviously. But I entered into law enforcement at 25, and when I felt secure, like when I could check that box, like those needs of salary and benefits and taking care of the family, then I was able to really dive back into what fires me up. And so that since 25, so 8 years now, I've just been on the path of building stuff, you know?
Gotcha. So 8 years in, can you give us maybe a couple highlights? What are some your greatest successes so far in that 8 years?
You know, that's a really good question. I I would say just like right off the bat, top one is acquiring a self storage facility. That was big. I jumped past the residential game. I know a lot of people will start residential and they'll have like a single family and then like a duplex, fourplex, multifamily, whatever, and then they get burned out and tired and they go into self storage. I saw the writing on the wall with all that, and I'm like, well, if people are ending up in self storage, I'm just going to start in self storage. So acquiring our facility, that was one of the highlights. Since I started 8 years ago, I mean, you know this just as well as I do. It's been a road of just lots of failures and then lots of lessons from those failures. And I don't even like to use the word failure because it's not. It's just been like things I've done that haven't worked out exactly how I've wanted them to, but they've added to a stack of experience that has gotten me to this point, right? And so
Yeah.
starting in fitness and then, pivoting bit by bit, then I got a self-storage facility. And then, from there, I got a taste of, SMB. And so now I'm, working mergers and acquisitions, and we're working to acquire a couple different businesses right now. And so it's like, it's all stacked. But the highlight, the like trophy right now for me has been our facility.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Awesome. I love how you mentioned like they're not really failures, they're more learning experiences, and the more those you have under your belt, the more successful you're going to be in the future. That's why I always say the earlier you start, the better off you are. So that's my philosophy on that. But I do want to talk a little bit about, maybe I want you to pick one quote unquote failure or learning experience you had, because people often talk about their successes, but you learn more from the failures typically. And I want our listeners to understand and learn from the experience of someone who's been there, done that, and so they do not repeat those same bad decisions. So do you have any failure or learning experience you'd like to share?
Yeah, I have a bunch. But as you were saying that, the one that came to mind, and yeah, like you said, it's not. I don't feel like it's a failure, but in the sense of this conversation, let's describe it as not getting the ROI that I really wanted. So a handful of years ago, I took all the experience that I've had, because my degree's in kinesiology, and so I know sports science and strength and conditioning and all of that. And that, so I took all of that and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take my training online, and I'm going to build, a platform where I can coach people one-on-one. So that was my idea. I started kind of seeing that pop up a little bit before COVID. So we're talking like 2018, 2019. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. That's how I'm going to make, $10,000 a month. And it was not as easy as I thought it would be, but I needed to go through that process. Along the way, I spent probably close to 25 grand through different mentors to learn kind of this back end of what it took to coach high ticket, what it took to sell, like email automations, marketing, different things like that. Because it's entrepreneurship is so vast, but when you learn these main skills, it can transfer to so many things. So I was trying to be a high ticket fitness coach, and over a period of a few years, I spent about 25 grand to be coached by other successful coaches. And during that time period, I definitely did not make back the 25 grand, but I learned these really valuable, like high level lessons in that process in the coaching that I've now used with so many other things.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
like in that
I'd like to
moment,
hear
it
about
was
maybe
like,
one of those lessons would be great.
yeah, like I was even just working on it today. So all all of the messages that I would send clients would be automated through a sequence. And at the time, I was using Go High Level, but it was like white labeled as something else, whatever it was, which is like another ingenious thing. The program that I was in used Go High Level and then white labeled it as their own thing, and then charged us like monthly, whatever it is, like $300 for it. And I didn't realize it at the time, but then after I had kind of like this aha of like, oh, you got me. That was good. But we used email automations to send it. I use it to send all my clients, and so building the email flows and the text automations, the email automations, and those sequences. I hadn't ever done anything like that before, and at the time it was super overwhelming. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, why do I need to know this? I just want to coach people on fitness, and to be in the best shape of their life. But now, having experienced that with Go High Level and the program that I was in that taught me how to do all that, it's easy in ConvertKit, right? I just like it transfer that knowledge over, and I was building out a sequence today,
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for automating a lot of that process for nudging leads down the funnel. I use Beehive for a lot of that because I have a newsletter. So I'm a huge advocate for that as well. I have tons of different sequences triggered by different things. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, your newsletter is great, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I want to know what your thoughts are on using social media to grow your business.
I think if you're not doing it, if you're not using social media to grow your business, you are missing out on probably the best ROI that you can have. And I know that there's so many businesses out there, like, I don't know, somebody's going to argue with me about it, but there's so many businesses out there that that just are cash cows and don't need any sort of social media presence. I get that. That's fine. But let's talk about just personal branding. Whatever business you own, it doesn't matter. Let's just say you own a lawn care business and you're like, I don't need to use social media. I'm top line, 1.5 a year. I'm sitting pretty. It's fine. I'm good to go. That's fine. I get that. But you have a whole bunch of knowledge from your years of being in the lawn care industry that you could share through social media. You could build a following just by talking about the daily management, like operation things that you do. You could have a newsletter speaking directly to lawn care service providers and how you've optimized your service. You could build out like $150 course of how you've hired people and the process that you went about it. Like whatever it is, it's like it's infinite. And so if you aren't using social media, sure, like you can do well. The business is still going to run. People have done that for decades. But by using social media, and in the right way, right? Using the right techniques and just being genuine with your content and value, and that's a whole other rabbit hole. It's like pouring gasoline on the fire,
Yeah, I totally agree. Super valuable strategy. The only thing is it takes a lot of time often to post consistently, but it's definitely worth it over the long term. I would like to hear about your experience hiring employees. How many employees do you have right now? Rough estimate is fine.
Yeah, like 5.
Okay.
Yeah, some are part-time, some are full-time.
Okay. What do you look for when hiring employees?
Loyalty. But that's a catch-22 because how do you determine loyalty at the start? And you can't really. And so it comes down to at least the way I've done it, and everybody does it different. But the employees that I have are all Filipino, and they're our virtual assistants that handle storage lead gen, cold calling, like general VA stuff, executive assistant stuff. And so everybody that we've hired is from the Philippines. Just as a culture in general, they're extremely loyal and extremely hardworking. Without going down too much of a rabbit hole, the workforce in the Philippines, like having a virtual assistant job is fairly sought after, because then you can work from home as opposed to like traveling a long distance. But anyway, like if they can find a stable employer, they will be loyal to that. And so it just culturally, I'm diving into the Filipino workforce. So that's the first thing. And then we go through a handful of questions throughout our interview process that filters people just based on the task that we need. And then from there, like, this isn't a sexy answer or anything, but it takes a few months for us to interact with them. Like, they've passed all of the interview tests and the questions that we've filtered them through. But then, like, we have them on for a couple months, still in a trial period, and adding to their plate bit by bit to judge their performance, and then like their interaction with us and their loyalty, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can speak from my experience as well. Hiring from the Philippines is awesome. The loyalty factor is easily apparent. And yeah, I've had nothing but good experiences hiring from there. My longest tenured employee at my summer storage for college students business is from the Philippines. She's my customer support team lead. She's been promoted. She also does recruiting in the off season. So yeah, great experiences hiring from there, and definitely very affordable as well for US based businesses.
Yeah, I do. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I would scrape change out of couch cushions to make sure that I kept my main general VA, that she's like my right hand, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, I would do anything to keep her. Like, that's how great she is, you know?
Yeah, no question. Absolutely. Okay, so I want to know, what's the best investment you've made in your career so far?
Books. No question. No question about it.
A lot of people go right to financial, but I do like the non-financial answers here.
Yeah. The like financial success comes, like that's a byproduct of, that's a symptom of the books that you read. And I wish I knew who said this, but one quote that I always think about is a book is like everything that any author has ever done, like condensed down to like something that you can hold, right? So their entire career, their experience, their, everything that they've failed or, succeeded at, like they've dialed it down to a book that you can hold, and they're giving it to you, right? So they've lived that life, and now they're sharing it with you. And I mean, my rule of thumb is, if I want a book, I'm gonna buy the book. That it's kind of like one of our money rules is, if I want the book, even if like I have books up here that I still need to read, like I'm still gonna get that book, because you never know when I'm gonna pull it off the shelf and dive in, and it's gonna change my life, you know?
Yeah. So now I gotta ask, what's the best book you've ever read?
Oh man, I knew that was coming. That's like asking like a film major what their favorite movie is. So I, my favorite author is Derek Sivers, and, every one of his books has just like, I'm reading it and I'm like, he's writing it for me, to me. I'm kind of blurred in the background, but, he has How to Live, Hell Yeah or No, Anything You Want, Your Music and People, and then useful. This one's right here. Useful, not true. So he has 5 books, and every one of them hits. And I would say out of those 5, Anything You Want would be my favorite. He like I don't know if you know who he is, but
Not
he
super
founded
familiar.
Seed. Yeah, he's not like big on social media, but he has a blog, and he has just a a bunch of loyal fans. He founded CD Baby, and like kind of by accident, and didn't even really want to grow it, but it just grew because it was awesome, and he just led with providing value to musicians, which is what it was for, and then sold it for millions, and is now living in New Zealand, and he's just writing about his entrepreneur experiences.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds
So
awesome.
anything you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, I definitely got to dive into that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, that kind of takes us to the end of the episode today. I would like you to tell our listeners where we can hear from you more, maybe websites, social medias, where can we get more from you?
I am really active on Twitter, X. So it's twitter.com or x.com /Kevin as RX. My name, ASRX. I have a podcast as well called Start, and then Buy as in BUY, and Scale. Just launched that, and we have a handful of episodes up. So yeah, Twitter, podcast, and then the YouTube channels that correspond with that.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll link those in the comments below. Be sure to check out Kevin's stuff. And thanks for hopping on with us today, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Right on. Okay, so that was the end of the episode with Collin. If you're not following Collin already, I'd go and follow him. He's a legit dude doing some awesome things in the entrepreneurial world. And if you're not subscribed to the newsletter that I have called Sunday, check it out. Link below. I post everything from starting businesses, buying businesses, scaling them. Obviously, what we talk about here on our podcast, but also just like real world entrepreneur stuff that nobody talks about. Full transparency. Actually, in full transparency, you might be able to hear my baby boy in the background. And that's just real life. So I'm going to go. He needs to be fed, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.